Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And we are doing something a little different once again. We did this on the last Women Around the World, but we wanted to do it again for Poland this time. And we're going to talk about a few organizations that are women-led and working to fight for the women and people with uteruses in general in Poland. And we wanted to acknowledge what's happening there, as well as the fact that we're kind of watching and learning from them, I guess, because there's a lot of stuff happening here in the U.S. as well. And I know we definitely have some listeners who have either family in Poland or are from Poland or in Poland. And we want to go ahead and timestamp this first and foremost. Today is December 2nd. This is our first recording in December, actually. But we did want to talk about what's happening there, including some of the recent events, as well as, yes, things are happening here in the U.S. with our own Supreme Court hearing of a specific case in Mississippi that could possibly gut or overturn Roe versus Wade, which has been a focal point in the U.S. when it comes to abortion rights, as well as reproductive rights in general. And yeah, we are on edge and kind of nervous about what's happening. So we're trying to kind of learn and see what's happening around the world who may have actually are fighting this already on a higher level. Is that the way to say it, Anney? I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, trying not to be too pessimistic, at the same time, just realistic. But, you know, things are things. And yes, for those who are listening and are, like I said, that are in Poland and or know what's going on there or have family there, you all have been great about letting us know what's happening that we may have missed and or do not know, and may also tell us how to say names, organizations that we are mispronouncing. We are trying our damnedest. I really, really promise we are. Before we started recording, we've been looking up pronunciations for like 20 minutes. So I absolutely know that we are not going to do a great job with some of this pronunciation. Please excuse that. But at the same time, we did not want to not talk about it just because we couldn't say it. Pronounce it.
Right.
And for you listeners, if you have a correction, please, yes, let us know, because we want to be respectful of all of the things that are happening there, as well as the amazing people who are working to fight for the rights of others and for themselves. So let's jump into it. We want to do a quick revisit of what is happening in Poland. And we've talked about this for a while now, as in fact, we've got a couple of episodes to go check out some of our Monday minis. But we wanted to come back and talk about some of the amazing women and organizations who are continuing to advocate for the right of women and those with uteruses. And this is going to be, a part of our Women Around the World series.
Yeah, so just a quick review. This year, Poland placed a near total ban on abortion, with the only exceptions for if women's life and health are at risk or if the pregnancy was due to rape or incest. And there have been protests that have been occurring throughout the country. At the time when we were revisiting what had happened, because we kind of did a couple on this and we're talking about it and then we revisited it again. There had been several arrests and charges under the guise of health and guidelines and policies placed due to COVID. And the arrests have not slowed down. According to one Polish newspaper, at least 4,000 people have been, quote, brought to court for protesting, but luckily many of the judges have dismissed the cases, stating they were, quote, violating the constitutionally guaranteed right to assembly.
And one specific woman who's been involved for a while, Marta Lampart, has had to deal with at least 81 of these cases. Lampart, who is a lawyer by profession, is a co-founder of the organization Polish Women's Strikes, who we've talked about previously on episodes about the abortion ban. Lampart and Klementina Suchanow started the organization All Poland Women's Strike, which in Polish is Ogólnopolski Strajk Kobiet, or OSK, in 2016 as a women's rights movement to protest the rejection of the Save Women bill. The organization was responsible for the 2016 Black protest, which took place in 147 different Polish cities and towns. And OSK has not slowed down. They also organized the 2020 protest after the ruling of the abortion ban. But not only that, in 2017, they, with the Argentinian women's rights activists, helped launch the International Women's Strike with 28 other countries.
And the organization, with Lampart as a leader, continues to work in seeking to change what has happened in Poland at the risk of her own freedom and even her safety. She is possibly facing up to 8 years in prison and has been threatened to the point that she now has to have police escort due to the level and nature of the threats. But as she says, when she was asked if she was afraid for her life, she said, "No, I'm not afraid." And continues the work, now trying to collect signatures for a petition to table the law in Parliament and bring about real discussion around the dangers of the law.
Right. So she essentially was just like, you know what? The protesting is starting to die down. They're not paying attention. They're throwing all these charges. We're going to do a petition. And she's garnering a lot of attention with that. And with that, we wanted to talk about another organization that's been part of this continued fight, which is the Abortion Dream Team. So essentially, it was a Facebook name. They adopted the name. It just stuck. It was created by Karolina Wiskowicz, Justina Wydrzynska, Natalia Broniarczyk, and Kinga Jelinska. The Abortion Dream Team works to educate and normalize abortion in Poland while assisting and participating with the protests that have been happening around the country. They also have taken the approach of telling the stories of those who've gone through the process to normalize the controversial topic and bring a personal stance to the debate.
And since the recent ruling of the ban, they have become more focused on providing information for transportation for those who are finding access outside of the country. Co-founder Wieczkowicz has said that since the pandemic, the organization has become the, quote, ultimate travel agency and has been making sure to help anyone who needs assistance in finding access near them.
Right.
Then there's Abortion Without Borders. So Abortion Dream Team and Women's Strike have been working with organizations to best help those who are in need of abortion access, including with Abortions Without Borders.
Abortion Without Borders was launched in 2019 and has been working tirelessly to find accessible care for anyone that is looking. In this year alone, they've been able to assist 34,000 women in Poland to access these services, including getting access to pills and traveling to clinics outside of the country. They also have been able to provide outside services and any local services to those that have been reaching out through their hotline and other contacts. And according to their website, abortion.eu, they have been able to provide financial assistance to at least 260 people currently, and the number continues to grow as they are continuing to assist as many people as possible.
Some other organizations we wanted to shout out, Women Help Women, Abortion Support Network, and Warszawskie Żyły, which all have been working to fight and advocate for reproductive justice in Poland.
Right. And recently, a woman did die due to septic shock who had been denied an abortion by the doctors in the hospital that she was at due to their fear of the punishment from the government had they gone through with it. Of course, there's a lot of back and forth of this, and it kind of, unfortunately, her death has become a rallying cry about what could possibly happen and the dangers of these laws. And at the same time, those who are anti-abortion are pushing a specific bill that would go after anyone who did have an abortion and or assisted for possibly with a prison sentence of at least 25 years. So there's a lot of talks about what's happening. And according to the same reports, we're seeing that kind of like in the US, most of the people are actually all about giving access. They do not have a problem with abortion access. They do not have a problem in that. They think that it should be a person's choice and not necessarily the government. So it is, again, interesting to see how the main federal lines are very different from their people's. And again, kind of like in the US, how we've seen it, we know that according to polls, people are not against abortion, as in fact, it's more than 50% who are like, yeah, no, we think pro-choice is the way to go. But of course, we have the louder, more conservative cries of anti-choice narrative that's been happening and that is happening currently in our country as well. So we're definitely watching all across the world, essentially, about what is happening and who is being denied access and who is being punished, essentially, and about the fact that, yeah, this is dangerous and it is going to cause a lot of harm when we talk about these types of laws and these types of bans overall.
Yeah. Yeah. It's frightening. Yeah, but I mean, if you're looking for the silver lining, it is amazing to see these organizations and these women and these people fighting and fighting and fighting. And we have seen that around the world, and we've seen it across this country as well. And yes, as you said, Samantha, we would love to hear from you listeners, wherever you may be, what's going on where you are, if there's any organizations or resources or people, any of that kind of stuff we should shout out. Please let us know. You can email us at stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram at Stuff Mom Never Told You. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina.
Really, thank you so much.
Yes. And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Mom Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.